Welcome everybody to another episode of Extra Trashy. We have, of course, the official, unofficial, official co-host, Idom. How's it going, man?
What's up? Doing good. How's everyone doing?
I think they're doing good because we're back to talk about more fighting games. Specifically, we have Mai's release. Mai has finally come to Street Fighter 6, the first DLC character in months. We have the Capcom Cup group drawing coming up. We're going to touch on the Evo Awards, which will be next week after this airs. And then we have another special question from you guys over at the Brian F. Patreon page, which gets into some deep conversations about our favorite moments in tournaments that didn't make it to the stream. So the deep cuts we'll bring up in this episode. But first off, Mai release. Yeah, Mai's finally come to Street Fighter 6, and Idom, is she everything you hoped and dreamed for?
Well, I think Mai is a pretty cool character in KOF, and it's cool that she was brought into Street Fighter, and I think it's awesome that it's awesome to have guest characters in Street Fighter, but I've been playing Mai. She's kind of, I don't want to say bland. She's not bland, but I do think she's pretty straightforward. And I do think she's a bit on the weaker side, to be honest, too. One thing I was comparing her a lot to, I feel like she's a mixture of Juri and Chun-Li. And you guys, I'm Juri hater number one. I think Juri is one of the most boring characters in the game. So I feel like me comparing her to Juri is already a bad sign.
I liked how you're walking that tightrope in the beginning. Right before we went live, Idom was telling me, he's like, you know what, Brian? I'm going to take your advice. I'm not going to complain as much about Street Fighter 6, and I'm going to be more positive. So I could see the gears turning there for you to try to like walk the line to not come out and be straight negative about Mai. But yeah, she's kind of a fireball drive rush character, right? I mean, they added, I think, a little bit of unique twist with the way the fans bounce. So there's a bit more set play, and I think she'll continue to evolve a bit and be more dynamic in that sense. But a big part of her game plan is definitely try to like create some space and then charge a fireball, and then you drive rush. And then either you do high-low before the second bounce, or you do it after. You know what I mean? It's like you're kind of just picking where you do the drive rush low or overhead or throw, but you always do one of those three. It just depends on which strength of fireball you did and where you do it. So yeah, I don't know if she's that as dynamic out of the gate. I think she'll have a lot of set play that evolves over time, but her basic game plan is, you know, it has a Street Fighter 6 effect. It's a little homogenized, a little bit out of the gate.
I do wish her level 1 was more useful. I feel like I've been trying to lab a lot of the stuff with her level 1, but the two problems I see with her level 1 is it's very hard to combo into mid-screen. So like her heavy quarter circle back punch doesn't combo into level 1 unless you're in the corner, which kind of sucks. And the other issue I have is if you're playing neutral and you whiff punish with like stand heavy punch, if you do stand heavy punch into level 1 to try to get the buff, you'll be too far and you whiff. So yeah. It's like I can't even get the level 1 like I want to. Usually when I'm getting level 1, it's usually at the end of the match. I'm like, oh, it didn't matter. I didn't even get to use the flame stalk, or I didn't get to use the cool part of the character. So I feel like I'm kind of locked out of the level 1. The way I've been using it, or the way I see it being most effective, is kind of just, you know, wake up level 1 and then hope for the best. And if it hits, oh, now I can just do fireball drive rush because now I have fan space. So I don't know. It's a weird dynamic. I wish there was more to the level 1, but I feel like the level 1 is the main part of the character, but you don't even utilize it that much. It's like playing Rashid with just not with the level 2. Right. Which wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's weird because I feel like the level 1 is the most unique part about her. Like if you do the level 1, you get 5 flame stocks, which enhances all your special moves and makes your immediate uncharged projectile a projectile, because her fans, if you don't hold the button down to charge it up, they're just a hit projectile, so people can press buttons and clash with it and get it off the screen, or they can just throw their own projectile straight through it. So her fireball game is actually pretty weak until you get the level 1s. You have to like kind of take extra steps to make sure that you can charge the fireball otherwise, or other characters with better fireballs will just, you know, blow right through. But I agree, like you can't combo into it mid-screen unless you spend OD on like OD Rianbu, the quarter circle back punch. That will let you combo mid-screen. And even then, from like certain juggles, if you get like a punish counter heavy kick crumple, it'll whiff as well. Basically, the level 1 without Flamestock has no horizontal range at all. So you have to have either up close OD juggle extensions to get the level 1 mid screen, or do like jab level 1. And even like you mentioned, heavy punch hit confirmed to level 1 will whiff. There's definitely been a lot of times where I'm like, oh, I'm going to get a nice little confirmed to level 1, and it just whiffs. And even when you get them to the corner, there's combos that work in the corner. If you're not like pushing them into the corner, it doesn't work. If you're like a little bit out, like a pixel away from the corner, it will drop. And so like I got that same impression early on. I was like, why am I focusing on getting the level 1? So either what happened is I would get a combo into the corner, and by that point, the next combo to level 1 is going to kill, right? But by the time I'm in this situation where I can land the level 1 will kill, or we're in later in the rounds and level 2 and level 3 will kill, right? And her level 2 is actually really useful. It's especially when enhanced with level 1. Funny enough, you know, it's like a 7-frame horizontally moving invincible super. And with level 1, the fireball invincibility is like full screen, and you can like punish Sonic Boom from Guile like full screen away. So it is really good with level 1 enhancement with the flame stocks, but it's also like a good combo extender and ender. And so I find myself mostly like saving my meter for level 2 or 3 and then cashing out with that at the end. So I do feel like part of her unique identity isn't there. Like the install seems so cool, but I've gotten so far without using her install at all. At all. I've just optimized my non-flame stock enhanced gameplay, and now I find myself in moments where I have flame stocks and I'm like, wait, what can I do here? like I have not. It's been almost a week and I haven't explored that side of the character at all. So I think people will optimize that, but I do agree it's a really rare scenario right now.
I feel like a lot of people, I know Chris G had gotten really far with Mai as well in like the ranking. I know he got to like number 1 MR with Mai, and I remember one of his main things was like he thinks Mai is strong, but he thinks Mai is strong for, you know, the reason that she can corner you really easily. Like her corner carry is insane.
Very
like
good.
She'll get you to the corner in like one combo all the time. But it's kind of the same thing where Mai's good, but the reason she's good has nothing to do with Mai. It's just, you know, she can do that stuff safe, which is just how the game's gonna work.
Low forward drive rush, fireball drive rush. It's a little disappointing because like the main thing I really enjoyed about Mai, I was like, oh, a unique character, an install character with unique properties and set play, right? Like that's what I was looking forward to, but it's just too hard to get to that situation. But I mean, she does have the set play out of nowhere. Like you just do heavy punch to OD fireball. Like her OD fireball is actually really good because it instantly gets the projectile property and instantly does a really strong bounce, and it's a fast moving projectile. So if you're like lost and don't know what to do, you just do like either just throw out the OD projectile or do stand medium into it or stand heavy punch, and then you instantly can just drive rush in and throw or low high. Like so she has that, which I guess is like slightly different than the other fireball drive rushes. But it's still kind of just like fireball drive rush. You know? It's like a little twist on it. She has some sick
conversions. No, she has some sick conversions with like the anti-air level 2s. Like if somebody jumps your flame stock fireball and then you anti-air with level 2, all that stuff is really good as well. But even at the same time, I found a lot of my games, me winning was just like throw looping the person. So
yeah, and her throw loop is really good.
Her throw loop's amazing.
Yeah,
actually.
I didn't realize how good it was at first, because it reminds me of Terry's throw loop at first, where you know you have to dash in to get the second throw. If you walk up, you're not going to get in range really for the throw. Sort of like Chun-Li, they can jab you out of your throw. But on the dash up one for this one, you still have time to walk back and bait out their throw whiff if they wake up with a tech, so you get a shimmy. Which in a lot of situations you can't do that. Like Jury can't do that, for example. Her throw loop is better than Jury's. Now the downside is she doesn't have a plus on block button. So I think when Jury throw loops you, it's a little more obnoxious, because if she just does stand medium, it's like you're still in the same mix up again, because she can just like stagger buttons over and over. So Mai doesn't get like the plus on block without spending OD meter, like maybe dash up button into OD fireball or something. But she can dash up, walk back, you whiff throw, and then she kills you for it. So yeah, I feel like when I've been winning, I've been doing low forward drive rush and throw loop. I kind of agree. And then maybe if I'm lost, I do like button into OD fireball and drive rush and just do something random and hope to get a hit so that I can go into the throw loop and kill them.
Yeah.
So it's a little, but I think overall she's been fun though. I do think the projectile game is fun when you get it going.
Yeah, I feel like Street Fighter 6 needs more zoners. I know a lot of casuals hate zoners, and like zoners are so frowned upon in like the FGC and everything in general, but the game needs more zoners. Like there's no pure zoner, I feel like, in Street Fighter 6. JP was kind of the only character like that, and he kind of got nerfed, even though he's kind of creeping back up, but even then, like we need pure zoners. We need different ways to play, I feel like.
Yeah. Well, what do you think about Dawson? Because I kind of like zoners, but I don't like Dawson. So we say pure zoners, but Dawson is the one where I'm like, I never enjoy fighting Dawson. I preferred fighting Dawson in Street Fighter 5, I think, to Street Fighter 6 at this point.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like Dawson in 6 more than 5, but in 6, I feel like he's so bad that like he's just gonna lose eventually to the mechanic. Versus like in 5, he was fine to fight until they had a Visha.
But that's more of a grappler player perspective. I can see that.
No.
I can see that.
I think it's just in general. Like usually zoners are like, I'm gonna zone. I get knocked down. Oh shit! I gotta hold all this pressure because I was playing lame the entire game. But Visha kind of fixed that. But even in 6, I think the problem is Dawson's gonna try to zone, but like you can't really zone in 6 because Parry's just gonna make a stalemate if you don't go in eventually. So you can't really zone, and then Dawson has to come to you, and then it's like you're not really zoning at that point. You're just making awkward situation.
Well, to me, I kind of hate perfect parry more than V-shift when it comes to Dawson. I don't like. I know you. I think you have more negative opinions on perfect parry than I do. But the only time I really dislike perfect parry is fighting Dawson.
Really?
I actually think that's more obnoxious to me than V-shift. I'd rather the Dawson player V-shift and like create a little bit of space, and then I get back in. Then I finally get in, and then I try to apply pressure, and I eat a perfect parry, and they back throw me. Like that drives me insane. So, and I also think with Dawson in Street Fighter 6, one of the main ways to beat him is to just do random DI, which I don't like. Like I don't like that you just have to throw a Hail Mary and hope it works. I don't know. It feels like it's like, oh, to win this, you have to just randomly mid-screen OD Shoryuken. Like I kind of feel it's a similar like mentality. So maybe that's just my own mental thing. But I kind of like JP zoning more than Dawson, but I do agree overall that we need more like variety in play styles. So you don't think Mai really fits that bill though?
Not really. I feel like I said, playing her, I played her for like I played her a lot of the days ever since she came out, but all I'm seeing is like Jury Chun-Li mix characters.
Yeah,
that's what I see.
Yeah, I was saying like a bit of Aki too. Like there's a kind of a hybrid between those 3 characters in my opinion. But I still think there's a lot of room to grow with her. I do see a higher ceiling than other characters. Like to me, Terry was a lot more straightforward compared to Mai. So I do think people will really optimize the fan situations. And if we can figure out more ways to get into the flame stocks, like I do see a future where someone's really optimizing Mai and they do like jab level 1 instantly, like hit confirm KOF style or Street Fighter Third Strike style into level 1s, and then they're zoning the crap out of people. But I feel like her flame stock system overall leaves a lot to be desired because, like you mentioned, either you end the first round killing with level 1 and you don't even keep the flame stocks, or you end up not using the meter and then you have level 2 or 3 and it's better to just cash out with level 3 and kill them. Because level 3s are just so good in this game. Because by the time if you have all that meter, you get a hit, it does 1.5 bars of drive gauge. Like that is so valuable. If they're at 3 bars and I hit them, it's like, yeah, I'm spending level 3 here. Like if they had full drive meter, maybe I'd spend level 1. But at this point in the match, it's level 3 because that instantly takes drive rush cancel off the table. If they block a couple block strings or in burnout, it's over. You know what I mean? So I think the mechanics of the game, I do feel like there's a lot of pressure that homogenizes the play styles. Low board drive rush, fireball drive rush, level 3. A lot of those things kind of always veer you to optimize in the same direction. Where if level 3 didn't do that drive gauge damage, I'd convert every time to level 1, right? So I think that's a big issue with her design right now, tying the stocks to the level 1.
Her level 1 needs more horizontal range though, because I think if you do, because that was my original idea, because I kept trying to do jab level 1, But even if you do 3 jabs, it whiffs.
No, you
and
got
then
to
it's just
jab, man. You got to listen.
Yeah,
These KOF players, these Street Fighter 3 third strike players, you get 2 lights. That's it, man. You got to confirm right away.
I kept trying to do 3 lights, and I'm like, man, my super just keeps whiffing. I'm just like, why? Why is this happening to me?
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess, like I said, the way I was kind of doing it was button drive rush, you know, but heavy kick. I mean, back heavy kick target combo level 1, which gets you the flame stock, but like you're already doing so much damage, and they're already in the corner anyway. So there's no point. There's no reason to kind of stray away from the game plan of just throw looping and applying pressure like that.
We can't even do that mid-screen. If that target combo, for example, worked mid-screen into level 1, her back heavy kick, it's kind of like the lane change animation for people who KOF a bit. She has that 3-hit target combo from back heavy kick. She kicks her leg up real high, and then does 3 kicks in the corner. It can combo to level 1 or DP. It's like a really good combo ender in the corner. But mid-screen, if that, for example, worked into level 1, at least from low forward drive rush, you have a decent way to get into level 1, right? To set up the game plan. So I suspect she'll get a patch where they make it easier to get into the flame stock, because otherwise they wasted the whole mechanic. I'm a little bit concerned right now that the whole mechanic's a little wasted. But I still believe that there could be someone who like totally optimizes this and shows out, maybe even at Capcom Cup, who knows. So
I think they're scared of mechanics like that, because even with like Jamie's drink or Manon's medals, it's like it's so easy to get hits in 6 that like having mechanics like that can make it kind of awkward to play against. Because if it's so easy to get into flame stock, that's what I think they're scared of. If it's so easy to get into flame stock, then I might just get ran over if the flame stocks are too good. Like one perfect parry, she has flame stock. One perfect parry from Manon, free medal. Jamie's 2 drinks.
But her flame stocks go away so quick, so it's not even that big of a deal. You do 1 combo and you use 3 flame stocks, right? So it does enhance her projectile game, but also remember, her projectiles are so bad uncharged to begin with that she has a real projectile. It's like, does that really matter? I don't know. Like, I don't think the flame stock is so powerful that we should gatekeep it. I would have really liked a system where you're constantly spending level 1 with Mai. You get what I'm saying? Like, if she was a character that was like really centered around constantly using level 1 to get the flame stocks and managing that resource, I think that would be much more interesting. Even if they like tone down her damage, right? Like, it was like you the whole goal is get a hit into flame stock, throw some fireball, zone for a bit, build meter, get 1 more mix up with the fireball to then cash out with another level 1 and loop that. That to me would be more interesting, because the way it is right now, it's like when I do the best with her, I'm not trying to do anything unique. Is what I realized at first. Like, on first player, I'm like, time to throw a bunch of charge projectiles, time to mix up, time to do all this, going to level 1. And then when I started winning more, I was like, okay, time to throw a few projectiles, anti-air DP, go strike throw, low forward drive rush, and throw loop. And I'm like, wait, I've done this a million times. Like, it made me realize I'm playing the same game again. So maybe they'll iron it out in the future. But overall, do you have any final thoughts on her potential strength? What do you think? Do you think she'll be showing up at Capcom Cup in her current form?
I think she's too new for somebody to play her at Capcom Cup. I'm like, I don't know what all the other competitors are thinking. I think she's a good catch somebody off guard character, but even for myself, I feel like I would rather still try to optimize Manon more than switch to Mai. So I'll probably be playing Manon there.
Well, we'll see. Maybe you'll still have a surprise Mai pick on the down low, or you'll have to be ready for someone's Mai, because we are actually going to be doing the Capcom Cup 11 group drawing next weekend. So this episode should be releasing on Monday on the 10th. And then I guess it's on the 13th, on Thursday, we'll be doing the actual Capcom Cup group drawing, which, I mean, we as in like literally me and Rob. I don't know how I got picked for that job, considering I've been bashing this format for 2 years straight about how they're doing the Capcom Cup group drawings and how this whole format has been working with the online circuit. But yeah, we're doing the group drawing, and it's interesting because just like last Capcom Cup X, the issue with doing the group drawings for Capcom Cup is because 99% of the drawings or the players qualified are via offline tournaments. Let me give you the actual numbers. It's not 99. 10 players come from the offline tournament circuit, where if you win the premier qualifier, you get the spot into Capcom Cup. The other 38 of the 48 players come from the World Warrior circuit. So either your region had 2 players, if it was a super region, you would get 2 players from that region out of the World Warrior circuit, or you get 1 player if it's a regular region. And so the problem that creates is, how do you seed all these players who theoretically and sometimes literally have never played each other for a whole season? In previous years prior to COVID, the way Capcom Cup would work is there was a circuit with points. So you would build up your global points on the leaderboard, and then that would just be your seed placement, right? So Punk, he had twice as many points as everybody else, ranked number 1. He's the number 1 seed, right? And then someone else who Punk would have like 4,000 CPT points, and then maybe the 32nd player had like 900, right? So they would be seed 32, and then that's how you would do it. Punk would play seed 32, second seed would play seed 31, and that's how the double elimination bracket is formed. But we have no cross-pollination for the most part, because most people are qualifying out of isolated regions online. So how do you say, this player should be seed 1 and this player should be seed 32, right? Or 48, right? It becomes an exercise in bias, because you don't objectively have any data to back up what you're saying. Even though you might know based on a good hunch and some examples that some regions should be ranked higher than others, you don't objectively know that. Like, where would Blas rank out of Chile, right? 15 years old, qualified. He seems godlike, but we don't have any data really for how he's going to perform cross-pollination against all these other players. But he's from Chile, a typically underrepresented region in Capcom Cup. You put him super low seed, he might actually be one of the best players there, right? But you just don't know. So that's the problem we run into with the new format. So to solve that, I'm doing air quotes here for the audio listeners, they do a more random group drawing where they try to separate the regions out so that players from the same region have a less likelihood chance of playing each other. And then that's how they do it. So there's no seeding based on any skill level or accolades. It's just separating out the regions, which led into the situation last year where we had Group F, the Group of Death, which had Lashar, Near the Boxer, Ending Walker, and then Kaba in there, and then Mena RD and Angry Bird. Evo first and second place from that year were in the same group with all those other killers as well. And then Mena RD and Kaba were in the same group because Mena RD technically qualified out of North America and Kaba qualified out of the Dominican Republic. Meanwhile, the other groups, many people would say, were significantly less stacked. But when you have all these players in one group, only 2 people can make it out. The rest are eliminated. So we ended up with Angry Bird being eliminated in groups and Lashard and Mena RD getting out of that group, which, you know, that it doesn't necessarily reflect how the whole season went up till that point. But we're doing that again coming up on this Thursday. So how are you feeling about this this group drawing format? Do you have any thoughts about it? Any concerns for your own potential placement item?
As someone who's played in 2 of the, well, was it 2? No, I've only played in 1 of the group seeding. I don't really, I hate it. I've always had this whole conspiracy theory. So this is gonna sound crazy, but I will say this: the 2 players who have won the Capcom Cups ever since this seeding drawing had happened, in Mena and Uma, I still think has had the weakest pool out of both the players. And I think you have a less mentally draining time playing in like in pools and just making out of your group. So you're more refreshed and energized to play in top 16 whenever you make it out. I think it's unfair, and that's always how I see it. Obviously, with the old formats, you know, the first seed would always have the easiest path, but you know, the first seed kind of earned it to have the easiest path because that's just how seeding works and everything. But for the group stage, I feel like is lucky, is RNG, and what are you gonna do if your if your name is called? You gotta play. I think it was unfair last year because like Group F was, you know, really hard and like really impossible to win out of. But even the year before that, it was Group F still, because I think Group F had like Chris CCH, Mr. Crimson was playing godlike, Angry Bird was there. Angry Bird got double Group F actually.
That's
yeah,
true. Yeah, he won Group F in the last Capcom Cup for Street Fighter V, but it was a similar talking point. Angry Bird, Mr. Crimson, Chrissy CH, DCQ, and then Travis Styles, Uriel were like at that time. DCQ, Mr. Crimson, and Angry Bird were at the top of their game, and Chrissy CH was like knocking on their door as well. Had a really good showing at Street Fighter League. He's like the next up and coming NA player. And so, yeah, Endgame Street Fighter V, Mr. Crimson and Angry Bird especially were like running the show. So, yeah. And then it repeated next year, and Angry Bird got the short end of the stick in Capcom Cup 10.
Yeah, I don't like it. I feel like the group stage is bad, but at the same time, what else can you do? I think it's a terrible format as well, but what else can you do? Is online, and we just got to pick names out of a hat to play.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the big problem. I complain about this format too, but I think the root of it is that we don't have any cross-pollination to create the seeding in the first place. So I think this is the best solution, to be honest, from the root of the problem, which is how people qualify. Because like I mentioned before, you can't just say, oh, if you're in the Korea region, you're seated higher than someone from Central America East. It's like, okay, like that's just being biased, right? So the old format had bias baked into it as well. I know many listeners, especially from like non-NA audiences, would argue, hey man, we can't get visas to go to all these tournaments, so our points are going to be lower and yada yada. And I definitely agree with that. The old format wasn't perfect either for that sense, but I think it was a little bit closer to the truth, just a little bit. You know what I mean? A little bit closer than random, because this is essentially random. So we'll see how this actually ends up. I told Rob, and I mentioned it publicly, I was like I said, I was surprised I got picked for this, because I'm a fan of the Pro Tour. I'm a fan of what Capcom does, but I've been very vocal about how I think the format is bad and it's killing interest in the Capcom Pro Tour, the online qualification. No one cares about these online qualifications. Even I'm a super turbo nerd about this. I have to study to do this show, because I don't know every qualifier. There's 48 qualifiers. If I'm looking at, sorry for singling you out, Diver out of Chile, I didn't expect him to qualify. I was looking at Blaz and Cryme, right? I don't know his story. I had to look at the list of the names to even pull that name out to identify him.
Who does I don't want to sound like bad either.
He plays Ed, apparently.
Okay.
Right.
Okay,
and then there's
Ed.
Salty Kid out of Belgium, who qualified with Kimberly, for example. I don't really know his story. I'm just saying it as it is. These are the things I have to study up on. Salvatore out of Venezuela.
I've played Salvatore in an online bracket, but
right.
Yeah, I know Salvatore. But at the same time, I guess it is hard, because like I said, me and you who are like really invested in, the Capcom Pro Tour, we don't know all the players either. So it's very hard for us. But at the same time, I feel like if there were more, I mean, we always go back to this, if there was more offline events, or even if Capcom was just better about, hey, this is the online bracket happening now. I know like Sajam and James Chen, and they do all the recaps on Capcom Fighters, but even then it's still hard to keep up with. And like it's pre-recorded. We already know who qualified, so
right.
Like it doesn't really make sense to watch. It
loses the appeal. Just like with Street Fighter League, anything pre-recorded instantly loses the appeal. It just you lose like 80% of the audience immediately as soon as you do that, because someone might have saw a tweet or whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, that guy won, right? But yeah, it's a big problem. So I'm studying up. I'm doing like flashcards and stuff. Like, here's the player's name. Here's their main. They qualified here with this character, and they beat this guy. You know what I mean? Like, I have to memorize all these, because there's so many regions and so many players, and it's like, oh, it's like I'm studying for an exam here to actually know everybody. Whereas, like, if I tell you about the offline qualifiers, I remember the tournaments. I watched them. I was excited. I was invested. I saw the players' faces. You know what I mean? There's such a much more human connection, grounded connection to the offline qualifiers. So it's a tough problem for them to solve. Hopefully they improve it. But yeah, I mentioned before, like, if we end up with a group of F situation where it's like, I don't know, we have instead of Angry Bird and Mena RD, we end up with Punk Big Bird in the same group. I told Rob, like, you have to carry the show. I'm not going to talk. Like, I'm gonna go dead silent, because like it was Rob and Ringe last year when Mena RD, Angry Bird, Lashard, they all started getting pulled into the same group, and they're like, oh no. They're freaking out on the broadcast, and they're like, hey man, I'm sorry. We pulled the names out of a hat. Like, we didn't choose this. Don't blame us.
That might add to the excitement for some of the spectators though, because like you don't know who's gonna play each other until the drawing happens. I guess it's different from like the old formats where like I knew I was playing Fujimura like 2 months prior, so like I'm just practicing for Fujimura.
Right.
But now it was like, oh man, what is it? I'll have 2 weeks to practice for whoever I gotta play, and like that's 5 other players I gotta practice for. So it's definitely like cramming time, or like you gotta be ready or just locked in towards the end to just get all those matches in and be able to play everyone.
Right. Yeah, I guess I would say that from a spectator's perspective, Group F is like the best possible outcome. Like when I complain about this, a lot of people go, "Oh, but I enjoyed Group F the most." And when I hear that, I'm like, "Okay, but then what about every other group? What about the other, like 10% of the 90% of the show?" I think when you start consolidating all the known names into one pool, sure, you get one group that's really exciting, but literally the rest of the show suffers because you end up with groups that no one cares about.
Yeah, that happened a lot. That happened a lot last year because I was guilty of it. I think a lot of the time, as soon as Group F finished, I was like, oh, time to go do something else. Time to grab dinner. Time to get some food.
Right.
So yeah, I'm guilty of that as well.
Yeah. So I actually understand why. Like we're talking about Group F. Group F is the most notable thing of Capcom Cup X last year, but yeah, that's to the detriment of everything else. So I don't know. I would argue that overall it's better to have a more even distribution so that you care more about every other group. Or maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Maybe just making one super death group actually gives like the most bang for your buck out of Capcom, and then like having everyone chill for the rest of the groups works out. But there was a lot of time where I wasn't as invested as well in a lot of these groups. I didn't tune in. I would just catch up later. It's also just a lot. It's like multiple days of this.
Oh yeah.
And
there's a lot.
Yeah, so it's hard to keep that tension throughout a group stage for a very long time like that. But we'll see how it is. So
I wanted to go off. I mean, talk about this a little bit more. But even as a spectator, I didn't really care about. I don't want to talk too much as a spectator, but as a competitor, I don't like the competitive integrity of the group. Because, like I said before, I kept this so quiet, but I was so pissed. The Capcom Cup, what was it, 10 or 11? The last one for Street Fighter 5. What, the groups are so unfair. I remember Mena having one less person in his group, and I was like, bro, what is this? This isn't fair. And I hated that so much, and it bothered me. Because looking at that group, I was like, man, if I had one less person to play, that's taking my mind. I get a break. That's like that's 15 minutes less of playing and stressing out of who I gotta play again. So even last year with Uma, like, not to harp on like anyone in Uma's group or anything, but that was an easy group. I don't like the easy group side of things. I hate that so much.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with I forgot the details, but someone couldn't go to Capcom Cup, or for some reason like something happened where there was like only 47 players in Capcom Cup 9 where Mena won, and so he ended up having the group with one less player as well. But yeah, I agree. I mean, it makes it so that it's really hard to balance these things. That's the issue at the root of it, that they're not going to solve that with this qualification format. You can't have a seeding unless they add some kind of intermediate step for seeding, like they do. Everybody plays a pre-Capcom Cup tournament and then they seed from that. Like you have to extend the format even more. Like the group stages, no one gets eliminated. It just makes seeding. You know what I mean? Like it just ends up like
people would maybe like throw for seeding, or just, I don't know. It gets a whole lot of issues happening.
Right. It's a really tough problem to solve. So I wish I could offer an actual solution, because it's easy to complain. At the end of the day, I think about it, I'm like, there's real people running this tour, and I'm happy it exists. So overall, I'm happy. Right? I'm happy we have Capcom Cup. I'm happy this is happening. It's just the potential is like right there. It's like so close, and we're just not quite landing it. But overall, I think it should be exciting. And for a little preview, I do have the regions, the way they're separating it. So the way they do it, once again, is they just start with a region of players, and they assign group by group one name. So like they go through North America, and it would be like, hey, Idom goes to Group A, Punk goes to Group B, Knuckle to Group C. They do it that way and go through the groups to prevent putting Idom, Punk, Knuckle Do all in Group A, right? That's the one thing they make an effort to do, is to prevent having people from the same region play each other. So at least it's new matches, that's the bare minimum. Like, I'm glad we're doing that. So the groups they have are EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Africa, Asia, Oceania as one region, Central South America as another region, North America, and then offline, which gives 5 regions they defined. But I don't have the inside info for how many groups they're doing. I would assume it's 8 because that's the most divisible number to get 2 out of there and make a top 16 and get an even number of players per group with 6. But you brought it up before we even started. There's 10 offline qualifiers. And theoretically, there's probably only 8 groups. Does that mean we're going to have 2 groups with 2 offline qualifiers? Because in my opinion, generally speaking, the offline qualifiers are like the best.
They're good. Yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
Really good. You're not going to have any like free matches from the offline qualifiers. They either won the hardest tournaments they had or got second in even the harder tournaments, right? So I think just by that nature, it ends up, we're probably going to have 2 super stacked groups just by that alone, right?
I guess you would just avoid, so say what it was Tokido and Lashar who qualified through Singapore, so they would probably just avoid Japan.
Yeah,
they would probably just avoid each other in the group pairing. So they would make sure Tokido and Lashar don't play each other and Shudo and Nephew don't play each other. But that's all they can do. Or they can do 16 groups, make it even bigger, and then only one person gets out because that's divisible.
Yeah, I guess so. They could just double the size. Yeah, I don't have the details on how many groups they're going to do for this. I'm trying to give inside info. I'm leaking right now. But yeah, it's also funny to think about. Like, there's 3 Japanese qualifiers from the offline circuit, right? There's Shudo, Tokido, Itabashi, and then Lashar's like honorary right now. He's competing in Street Fighter League Japan. So there could be overlap there. There's Punk and Noah and Nephew. So there's 3 NA qualifiers at USA qualifiers as well from the offline format. So there's a lot of potential for having some overlap there. On top of course, there's the World Warrior programs. There's a lot of USA players because of the way the regions are divvied up and things like that. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I do suspect like there could be a world where Punk and Tokido are in the same group. Things like that. Punk, Mena, RD.
Yeah, but that's the nature of the form. That's the nature of the format. And even actually, Punk and Mena couldn't because they both qualified offline. And same thing with Punk and oh wait, no.
But there's 10. No, there's literally there's 10. Right. So there's 2 groups are gonna, if they do 8, there's gonna be 2 groups with 2 offline qualifiers in it. You could have Punk Nephew in the same group. Like, yeah, there's a real possibility for this. So drama.
Did Capcom not do the math homework? This is so crazy to me. Like, this is common math, but I don't know. But I don't know what's gonna happen, and I hope I'm not in that group.
Yeah, it might be brutal. The luck of the draw, we'll have to see. So all I can say is don't blame me, Idom. if I pull your name out of the hat and it ends up in a group of death, I'm sorry, man. I didn't choose this. Let's blame Capcom, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I'll blame Rob. Exactly. Rob will take all the blame. Any bad drawings will be solely on his shoulders. Okay, but also this weekend coming up, besides the Capcom Cup group drawing, we have the Evo Awards. They're actually going to be doing the physical event in LA. I'm going to be there because I'm going to be there already for the group drawing. So it's going to be a busy weekend for me. So I don't know, Idom, are you going to be showing up to show up in your suit and get dressed up and participate? Mingle a little?
Nah, well, I unfortunately will not be at the Evo Awards, but I'm actually going to Genesis next weekend.
Really?
So.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be there there's a qualifier for Red Bull Kumite, and Red Bull was kind enough to send me out there, so I'm going to be there playing some SF6 and trying to qualify for Kumite.
Oh, I remember they announced that. I forgot that was going on because Genesis is actually like a really huge Smash tournament. I love watching Genesis for Smash. It's one of my favorite Melee tournaments of all time. So it's interesting that they're putting a Red Bull Kumite qualifier in there, trying to shoehorn it in.
You know, they could do that. I'm going in there to play some Street Fighter, watch some Smash, and you know, drink some Red Bull.
Oh, okay, there you go. Good little Red Bull shill right there. But yeah, I'll be at the Evo Awards instead. But I'm stressing out because the dress code is supposed to be like, what was the term? Casual, cool meets streetwear, formal. I don't know. I don't have any formal clothes. COVID has destroyed my ability to dress for society. So all I own are like jeans and t-shirts. And I was like, what the hell am I supposed to wear at an Evo Awards? But I don't know how you feel about it overall. I have some reservations about it. Like, do you like the Oscars or the Grammys? Because I kind of hate those things.
I'm not a fan either. I like praising, like, you know, good stuff in like communities. Like, I like, you know, the NBA has award shows. You know, the video game award shows are really nice. I'm glad, like, at the same time, fighting games are getting their award show. But even at the same time, I feel like it is very cliquey, very very glamored, or just puffered up, kind of just too, I don't want to say fake, but too,
it's a little fake,
too
haughty.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I think it's like self-congratulatory a little bit, like you're patting yourself on the back. I definitely agree with the vibe that you're perceiving from this. That's why, in general, I don't like award show for that. Like, I can barely tune in. Like, it does feel like a bunch of people sitting in a room clapping for themselves over and over. So it has a very strange vibe to it. So I don't know. I got invited. I'm gonna go, but I'm stressing out about it because I don't know what to wear. Like, what are you supposed to wear? So the dress code is casual, cool meets dress to impress. What does that mean? What
extra trashy? You got to come in a trash bag.
I'm not going to pull a fashion statement, man. Put on the whole full trash bag outfit and go down a red carpet. No, I just want to not be perceived. That's my main goal. I just want to dress so that no one thinks anything when they see me. That's usually my goal, right? I just don't want to stand out whatsoever and have no perception. So that's mostly what I'm thinking about. I know I should be studying for the Capcom Cup group drawings, but I'm like, man, what the hell am I going to wear? At an Evo Awards, an award show for fighting games, what is this going to be like? So I don't know. I do have a suspicion that it might be super cringy. I'm just a little worried. I don't know how it's going to come off. I don't know.
So usually at award shows, they also have like trailers. You know, at the video game awards, they always have trailers. Maybe we'll get some new fighting game stuff at the Evo Awards. Maybe even if it's just like Evo announcements or something. That'll be kind of cool to see. Like, they gotta fill that air.
Well, they already did the Evo announcement show where they kind of left no stone unturned. I feel like they went into detail for all the upcoming events for the years. I would be surprised if they had another announcement.
No, like fighting game trailers. Say, like, you know, new City of the Wolves character announced, or I don't know, maybe
they finally show off Cristiano Ronaldo.
Exactly. I forgot Ronaldo was still coming out. Yeah.
If they show Ronaldo in City of the Wolves playing actual playable character, then it'll be all worth it. They better have a demo there and everything. That's all I'm waiting for is what the hell is Ronaldo doing with City of the Wolves? They made that trailer show, like, Ronaldo is coming to do what? Is he in the game? Is he just gonna play the game on stream one time? Like, what's happening? So we'll see. But I don't know if Evo Awards is there yet. You think it'll be that big?
You know, so many people, like non-fighting game players, my non-FGC friends, my high school friends, they don't know anything about fighting game. They know Evo though. So at the same time, Evo still has that name, so they might draw in an audience. I don't think any of them know that the Evo Awards are happening, but even then, they'll see Evo slapped on or something and be like, oh, hey, Derek, what's this? And then, like, oh, they gotta ask me about it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. Evo is a very big event, but that's because it's the actual tournament of Evo. I don't even think Evo Japan pulls that same viewership, and that's like the next thing compared to Evo Vegas.
No, my friends, my non-fighting game friends know about Evo Japan. They were asking me about it so many times. They know anything Evo related is like in their fighting game thing. They always ask me about Evo, like, when's Evo happening? when did they start doing Evo Japan, all this stuff? And
Okay.
like, since I'm their local video game guy, they'll just ask me everything that's to do with mostly video game stuff.
Maybe I'm underestimating the reach of the extended Evo brand. In my perspective, it feels like Evo Vegas is the one that it's really broken through to, like, the, at least in the NA audience, the more general gaming audience's attention. So with that, I have no idea how an award show for a niche gaming community is going to perform when there's no drama of the stakes of actual video game tournament competition, right? Like, Evo is dramatic because it's like climbing the mountain to reach the summit, right? Like, who's going to be there at the end of the weekend? Thousands of bodies laying by the wayside, only one is left standing, right? There's a natural drama to it that is universally appealing beyond anyone who knows anything about the genre itself, right? The awards, though, like, Justin Wong memes, like, I don't know, like, that's not that appealing. We'll see.
You're thinking of it too competitively. If you think about it, like, oh man, Justin Wong nominated for his 9th award, going on 10 right now. There's so many bodies laying in the wake. Is Justin going to get his 10th Evo award? And then it's like, and then they open the envelope, and then it was like, this award goes to Daigo, and then Justin robbed by Daigo again. Like, that's the kind of hype.
I don't think Daigo got nominated for anything.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I know Daigo got nominated.
Justin Wong, the people sweeping the awards are Hayao, the third strike player who was popping off left, right, and center and doing splits and acrobatics on stage. He was nominated for like every award, and then Justin, and then Sage am after. So I don't know if they're gonna have Hayao out there. He better be there because he's gonna win. He's gonna win at least 5 awards, and if he's there, I think the show is saved. As long as we have him there in his white pants doing backflips and splits and running up and down the stage and high-fiving everybody up to collect his awards. If he shows up, Evo Awards is saved. If not, we're gonna have to figure out, I don't know, Evo Awards gonna have to figure out some way to carry this production. But we'll see. I have no idea what to expect. I'll be there in person. I'm sure it's going to be a good time just to mingle and hang out. It's like an excuse for me to see a bunch of the FGC people again. So I'll enjoy it from that perspective. But it'll be interesting to see what this evolves into. Hopefully it won't be cringy. I don't know. I try to watch like the streamer awards. I couldn't do it.
Oh, you know what I mean? I don't like the streamer awards either. They're too, like you said, too cringy, I feel like.
Yeah, they're trying to be funny all the time. I think there's a weird thing where when you try to apply prestige to a group or an area that doesn't really believe that it deserves it, and it comes off with a hint of irony, it just doesn't work for me. I don't know. So the Grammys I can almost accept because, like, I think actually the people there care about it. But other award show, once you start going down the tier list on an award show, no one actually cares anymore. And it just doesn't come across right. The prestige isn't there. Like, I don't think you can fake it. So the streamer awards, I feel like it's kind of faking it, right? And then it's all presented by streamers, and they're all trying to make a bunch of quips and jokes, and it just doesn't work for me. Like, it's not working for me. So I'm a little concerned about the Evo Awards in that sense.
But then I ask you, what's the cutoff? Because, athletes, they take their awards, to heart. So what's the cutoff? So you're saying it's like the Grammys is like the highest tier, the actors and all the producers and all that. They love that stuff. Then the athletes still seem like they care. Some of them don't. Some of them is kind of falling off. And then like the streamers is where it starts getting cringe. The FGC is probably lower than that. But but where's the cutoff, Brian? We need to know.
It's not about the audience size or how large the community is. To me, it's more about how meaningful it is to the person. So I feel like if it's objective awards, like things for athletic competition, I think that's not cringy at all because that's objective, right? So when you start introducing more and more subjectivity to it, and you also start lowering the stakes, like best button, it's like a little goofy warm-up thing, right? That has no meaning. It's meant to be an in joke. And then you start doing things like not to rag on Rob, best dressed. I'm like, okay, well, this is just what is the point of this a little bit? You know, I mean, congrats everyone nominated. I wish you all the best. You know, they're all great people and all that. But best meme, you know, there's a lot of awards here that are not really intended to be anything besides kind of fluff, right? And then you mix into that match of the year, best commentator. You know, there's a few like more serious ones I feel like mixed in between. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it overall. I hopefully it's a good time and people enjoy watching and participating, but it's still a weird concept to me overall. This is something that to me could be resolved like with some tweets. We could all voted online and they could have tweeted out the picture of who won, right? But doing it in person in a venue, whoa, we're making this a big deal, right? There's going to be hosts. People are going to be presenting awards and saying things, and people are going to go up on stage and accept the awards and say things. So I don't know. Oh, that's a lot.
To me, it sounds like you're harping on Rob because Rob has a good fashion sense and he's going to
maybe
win
I'm just
best
salty.
dress.
Yeah, I'm just salty that I have nothing to wear to the award show,
sense.
and then Rob is already nominated for best dress. You called me out, Idom. You got it. Well, that'll be this coming weekend. We'll see how it all shakes up. I'll be there. Hopefully I don't fall on my face on camera, hit the red carpet and trip and fall on my untied shoes. But beyond that, we're getting into our final segment of the show today. We have another question from the Brian F Patreon page at patreon.com/Brian_F. I guess we're making this kind of like a weekly segment here, some dumpster diving questions from you guys in the Patreon. And this one we have from Kiefer Ortiz. What's your favorite memory from a tournament that wasn't streamed? So like a cool moment at something like a combo breaker that didn't involve actually being on stage in front of an audience. So Ortiz here is asking for the deep cuts, because actually, especially during the offline era, the vast majority of moments happen off stream. And that's a big part of going to the events. Actually, this touches on a really important cultural cornerstone, I think, of the FGC for people who might not know, who don't go to many events. 99% of the happenings, the matches, the important stuff happens off stream just by the nature of how it is. There's too many people, too many matches. And a lot of my favorite matches of all time that I've competed in happen off stream as well. So, Idom, I'll throw the floor to you. Do you have a favorite moment or two that happened off stream at an event?
So I have one. There was when I first started getting into the FGC and I started first going to NLVC. Still remember there was this time I was going to the local on Saturday because I had classes on the weekday and I couldn't go on Wednesday. But I would go to the weekly on Saturday, and this is around when Street Fighter V first came out. And there was like a weekly, there was like 10, maybe 12 people there. And I remember Sanford Kelly being there, and I won the bracket. And immediately after, there was no stream, no anything. I think he challenged me to a money match immediately. And soon, like, put the money down, slap the money on the table. Let's go any amount, yada, and all that. And I still remember, I was still like super new to the FGC. I was like, yo, what do I do? Like, do I accept the money match? I'm like 18 or 19, and I'm just like, I won the bracket. Let me just try to not humor him, but like kind of, save face and not be embarrassed and be like, I'm scared or anything. So I play and like I beat Sanford, and then I still remember Henry was just cracking up on Sanford the entire time, and it was so funny. But like I said, it was just all stream, and it's all fun and games. It's just memories now.
Yeah, there's so many money matches. I mean, that's a classic Sanford moment. Shout out to Sanford. Hope he's doing well. There's so many salty money matches that have happened off tournament streams, like immediately after the bracket. I've been challenged to a few. I remember a few of those that happened to me. I've beaten people who challenged me to money matches after, and then like I kept winning a few more matches into the bracket, and then they were like, I've had this happen at least twice. They were like, oh, okay, you're actually good. Right? It's like I beat them early in pools, and they're just tight because they think I suck because, they're competitive ego, whatever. And then I win a few more. They're like, wait a minute. Okay, that wasn't a fluke. Like, you actually kept going. You didn't immediately lose after. Oh, never mind. We're cool. like they kind of like withdraw the money match application. That's happened to me at least twice. I think that happens more when you're like up and coming and less known in the scene. So that was like 2016 era, like before I started doing a lot more offline tournaments and people didn't know, had no idea who I was. But I guess for me, the one memory I think of is I think of Final Round 2019. A lot of people know that moment who watched my Street Fighter V career, because I got top 8 at that premiere, and I had that pop off after beating Valoran for some particular people who didn't believe in me. Nothing to do with Valoran if people don't know the lore, but what people don't know about that pop off, why I was popping off so hard as well, was because that was the first match I played on stream. But that pool had like me, Valoran, I think Pugera, or Vanao, I think the Japanese Third Strike Ryu player who played Balrog in Street Fighter V. I think I'm saying his name correctly. And Daigo. And for me to get out of that pool, I had to beat Daigo off stream before even getting into that position. And I remember I was dropped by my sponsor leading up to that tournament for not getting enough CPT points. So when I got through that pool, I beat Daigo off stream. Then I beat Valoran. I don't know. I kind of had some. I felt like, hey, look at me in the eye and tell me I'm not going to get some points. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder. But that context was missed. So I think like the fact that I beat Daigo unceremoniously off stream was always like a big memory of mine. And I kind of want to treat it like the Giuna with his Tiger Uppercut shorts. There's a tweet of Daigo where after he was eliminated, he said, lost to Brian F and the Fudo. You get matched against tough players really quick in this tournament. So like he tweeted at me and said he lost. I was like, Daigo, he acknowledged me. So I kind of want to like screenshot that tweet and print it out. Like, hey man, like, did you know I beat Daigo one time? You know, hey, remember?
Let's keep it in the back.
Yeah, 7 years ago, I need a giant tweet of it. Just print it out. Hey, 10 years ago, you know, the old man here actually beat Daigo in a tournament one time. So that's always kind of a fun memory of mine. And of course, I remember the match ended with he woke up OD flash kick or EX flash kick. You know, I was doing the combo, then I just stopped and stared at him, and of course the Daigo flash kick came out, and I'm like, Daigo, you old son of a gun, I knew you still had the Ume flash kick in you. So that's definitely one of the moments that always sticks out to me. I'll take that one to the grave.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up the infamous Capcom Cup 2019 LCQ run when it was me, Strider, Danny, the white people chant. You don't remember that one, Brian?
I was a victim in that situation. I'm not a part of that.
Oh my god, I'm surprised you didn't bring up that one. That was such a good memory.
I forgot you're a part of Danny. That. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's not. Listen, us white guys, we maybe can't jump, but we can play some Street Fighter. Okay, I was maybe my prime. I was trying to beat those allegations, and those would come up here and there. But it was funny, Strider. I was playing Inaba from Japan, and he was playing Urien. And then Strider, I was kind of falling behind in the match, and I was playing very safe and solid and reserved. And Strider was like, yo, just overhead him. And I said, okay. And I just did it. And I'm like, he doesn't speak English that well. I don't think he even understood what was happening. I did like a random full screen overhead, and then I won. And I just started going super ham. And then Strider was like, yeah, man, just do it. And the chant came out. Not my favorite chant. I was a victim of all those. Those were surrounding me, not something by my own design. But yeah, there's always these like deep stories that happen off stream. That whole tournament was off stream. That whole
actually that
LCQ
whole thing was.
Yeah, good time. You didn't have to participate in that one. You were smooth sailing to the end.
I was already qualified.
Yeah,
but one of it was another one. This one shouldn't have been off stream, and you know I still hold this one because I'm still salty about it. I think it was this CPT regional final 2021. I think the one where me and Punk played the first to 5, and and you know the first match had happened off stream that I won, and you know the set ended 5-4 when the score was still 5-5, and you know no one even knows that happened. I still have to hold that one.
I mean, the lore is that, so for people who don't know, in 2021 that was the second year Capcom Cup got canceled, and for the consolation prize, they did the qualifiers for the region, the top 2. They would play each other in a show set, essentially first to 5, and there was prize money on the line, and it was more like a season finale, like a celebration at the end of the season to have some matches. But it wasn't Capcom Cup, which was very disappointing for me because I qualified that year, and I was giving it my all. But so the NA players actually got flown out to the studio to film their first to fives offline to have like actual cameras and better angles rather than online sets, and they pre-recorded those to air in the next couple days. And so I think your set, the first game, there were some disputes about some settings for the setup, or what happened?
I think somebody had told us, I think somebody told us start, and then we started, and then it was like, no, the first match wasn't recorded because somebody came running in after the first game when we started the second game, and then it was like, no, we gotta restart. And I was like, I won the first game. What are you talking about?
Oh,
and then
no.
I still, that one still bothers me. I won that set. It was 5-4 me before he got to the fifth game.
Wow. Yeah, that's rough. So I don't know if that counts as a favorite moment, but
that was a bad moment. That was a terrible moment. That was a terrible off-stream moment.
Man, production in fighting games, there's definitely a lot of issues like that. That happens more often than people would know on the surface. How many times there's technical issues causing restarts where it impacts the potential competitive integrity of what went down. And that was at the peak of like your guys' rivalry, because I don't think it's about the money for that one. I think that was just like about the pride,
I
right?
won that set. Yeah, that's what I said. I won that set.
Well, history will remember it differently, Idom. At the end of the 2021 season, looks like Punk came out on top.
No, that's not what happened. What are you talking about?
The history is written by the victors here, Idom. I'm sorry. The footage shows otherwise. Like, what is the truth really, besides what the people perceive? So
there's probably somebody watching that video right now, like, oh, Punk won again, and then I was like, that's not what happened. Yeah, I know. But I feel like a lot of the best moments at offline events aren't even like the stream matches, or just like the matches in general. It's usually after the event, usually.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, I'm thinking about, not to pick on you, but it just comes to mind, like Ryan Hart versus you at Evo 2022, right? Like, they got recorded, so we did have the footage, but like those kind of moments tend to happen off stream, especially at Evo. You hear the rumors and the buzz of like, oh, so and so beat so and so. I think I saw Mr. Crimson lose to who is a Bison player?
I know. Was it Toy? No, it wasn't Toy. It was who was? I know who you're talking about too, and I forgot. Was it Squall?
I don't think it was Squall either. Yeah, but like there's so many matches like this where huge upsets happen or like really surprising results happen, especially at Evo. You have to dig through the brackets to really find all of these like hidden stories that happen. So in general, I would say if you haven't been to a big major, just for those kind of moments, it's worth it. There's so many stories and so much history that gets lost by the wayside. And I think that also contributes to like the misunderstanding of players' abilities and levels. And that's a big part of the reason why I'm motivated to do like the tournament coverage and even this podcast, right, is to share more of those stories, because so many players get disrespected left, right, and center, and they go, oh, this guy sucks. Where's X, Y, and Z in top 8? Meanwhile, the player you're disparaging eliminated your favorite player you're asking for in top 8 off stream before you even saw the broadcast, right? So these kind of things happen all the time, all over the place. So if you get a chance, if you can go to like an Evo or Combo Breaker, and you can just like hover around the setups in a top 64, like you have so many interesting moments that happen off stream that are really only for the eyes of the players there. I wish we could get better at preserving that history, but I think it only lives now through our stories and words, such as here on Trash Talk. With that said, Idom, you got any final closing thoughts for the people? Words of wisdom from Idom. I think this is a good way to always end our show.
I hope in the next update for Street Fighter 6, they get, I don't want to say get rid of parry, but we need left right mix-ups back. Please bring back our left right mix-ups. I hate parry because it takes away sick left right mix-ups. I had this talk with somebody at NOBC this week, and I compared a left right mix-up in fighting games to like an NBA crossover when somebody gets their ankles broken. It's the same thing, and everyone gets hyped when somebody falls to the ground and, you know, like, oh, ooh, and then it's like a sick crossover to a jumper. We don't have that because no one's getting their ankles broken because everyone's just standing up upright.
Well, you can do left right throw.
That's not the same. That's like that's like Jordan pushing off or something, man. That's not the same.
All right, get your throws in, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode of Trash Talk. Peace. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode of Extra Trashy. If you don't know, this podcast features two main formats. Under the Trash Talk banner, we have the in-depth discussions and interviews with top players and figureheads in the fighting game community in an effort to document and preserve the history of the people that make this scene great. With Extra Trashy, I chop it up with my co-host Idom and discuss more recent events and topical discussions in the fighting game scene and provide a more consistent and regular upload cadence for casual discussions. These Trash Talk episodes take a lot of time to produce, so we have to have a lot of time in between these episodes, but it becomes possible thanks to your support at patreon.com/Brian_F. If you're watching the video feed on this on YouTube or Spotify, you might be seeing the name scroll by my head on the screen, but I also wanted to thank our landfill tier supporters like Ace Crimson, Chuckle Chuck, Hasserus, Kelly Lyles, Alex, Sam Gibson, and Smoking Seabass for contributing to the Patreon page. Thank you guys so much for supporting, and we'll catch you in the next Trash Talk.